I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I keep trying to make a video, what this video is going to try to be. Maybe I'll just talk to myself right now. Changing myself is hard. Changing what I believe about myself is really hard. Ever since I was little, I have felt that everything I do, which is guided by my own impulses and my own feelings, it's been told to me, you're wrong, don't do that, don't do that. Don't be so loud. Don't disagree. Don't ask questions. Do what you're told. Be obedient. Be a good girl. Grow up to be a good woman, a proper, respectful wife. Well, yeah, I definitely wanted to be a wife. I wanted to be a good wife, not a crap wife. I didn't want to do what I was told. So eventually, what I came to believe about myself was that I was bad. I was bad. Because every impulse that I had was against everything that I'd always been told was the good, but I was constantly resisting all of this. I came to believe that I was bad. And that everything about me was going to have to be completely overhauled if I was ever going to be acceptable to God. God, the reason I say God is because I was raised in a very religious household. My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. It is culty. It's high control. And it was a problem for me from day one, apparently, from what I've been told. My early memories are fine. I don't have any bad memories. I wasn't traumatized as a child. I wasn't abused as a child. My parents loved me. My parents loved me. And even though I was constantly on the receiving end of a lot of discipline and correction, it was because they loved me. But I told myself something very different as a kid. I told myself over and over again, they don't love you. They hate you. They want you gone. They don't want you around because you're bad. And I believed that. I believed every bit of that until about 4 months ago. 4 months ago, I finally figured out how to meditate. Why have I been trying so hard to meditate? Well, as you can imagine, if you have a terrible story like you are bad and God is never going to accept you the way you are, you must become very, very different because the way you are is no doggone good. Well, you get bad results in your life. You get a lot of crap. I'm divorced. I was married for 25 years, but I was married to a man who occasionally could be abusive and had a severe alcohol problem. And even though we loved each other deeply and completely and with great passion, there was so much pain. So much pain. And over again in our marriage, and especially when he was drunk, what I would hear from him was that I was no good. That I was a liar, that I had been slutty, that I was just of no moral standard. I had no character. That's what I would hear from him when I was drunk. So it was my subconscious telling me in an outward 3D way what I actually thought about myself. The only way he would say these things to me was when he was drunk, but he would say these things to me. And now I recognize them as, well, that was your story, Tamar. That was what you thought. That's exactly what you really thought about yourself. We had 4 children. And I was a housewife most of the time, and I was happy doing that. That was what I wanted to do. Was just raise my children. If I'm going to have children, I'm going to raise them. That was my opinion on the matter. But as arrogant and pompous and condescending as I have been able to be all my life, I don't really I was lying because I have not really liked myself. Well, how do I know? How do I know that? How do I know what was going on in my subconscious? It's your subconscious. Your subconscious is not available to you under most circumstances. Correct? Correct. Well, like I said, my life was falling apart. I was sad. I was definitely prone to depression, deep depression, self-hatred, self-loathing. I literally have been so upset that I've punched myself in the head multiple times because I hated myself and who I am. And I was constantly being rejected. Why wouldn't you reject somebody who believes that they are nothing but a reject? That's what I brought to my life. I poison myself every day with cigarettes. Working on it. And I was in a relationship with someone that I love very much. Even more than I loved my husband. My connection to this other person is deep. It's strong. And this person has kept me safe. Has kept me feeling loved and important for many years. But I, because of my internal story, because of what I believe about myself, I hurt him badly. I constantly told him, you don't love me, you hate me, you can't stand me, you think you're better than me. I mean, let's go on and on and on with the ridiculous things I said to this guy over and over again. None of which was true. I was saying, this is how I feel about myself. That's what it turned out. Every time I said, you don't love me, you think that you're better than me, you think you're so great. That was me saying, I don't love me. I don't think I'm good enough. I think everybody's great but me. That's pretty much what I was saying. Until finally, he kind of like went, okay, is that what you think? I guess that is what I think. Because you keep telling me what I think. So I guess that is what I think. I have screamed at him. I have called him names, terrible names, that I would never do again. I would never do that now. Well, why wouldn't I? Well, because I'm different now. Because when I learned how to meditate, I began to look at my memories. And at first, I didn't really know what I was looking for. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of, feeling around in the dark. What's happening? All right. And then, one day, I asked myself a question. Why do you keep having these rages? These screaming, horrible rages where all you want to do is just destroy. When I would get in those feelings, I couldn't stop. There'd be a little teeny tiny part of my mind going, what are you doing? Hey, crazy, calm down. But that was way back in the back that I paid it no mind. Because I was in the zone. I was in the freaking crazy zone. Over and over and over again. Crazy zone. That's me. Was me. So, I'm sitting down. I'm meditating. I'm going through, this is a guided meditation that I had been practicing for a few weeks. Sat down with that question in my mind. Why do I do this? So I chose a memory that from my childhood where I was in that state. Because I've been doing this since I was a kid. So in this particular memory that I chose, I had been sent to my room. That was a common thing that happened to me. Always being sent to my room. Like, it's sent to my room because I've done something while I was watching television with my brothers. I was about 9. To irritate my mother. And so she sent me to my room. I probably hit one of them or pissed one of them off. And then I probably yelled at my mom when she told me to stop. That's typically how I would end up in my room. So I'm in my room screaming. In this memory, I'm looking at it. Screaming. And you don't love me. Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. My life is just not worth living. I'm 9. The top of my lungs, I'm screaming these things. I'm going on and on and on and on and on. I'm looking at this memory going, good grief. Why does she think that? Because I'm looking around in the room that this screaming child is in. This is a nice room. We lived in a decent house. We always had a nice, clean, warm home. We always had food. We had, again, not abused. We were loved and cared for. My mother and father made sure we had everything that we needed and gave us the best that they could. Always, always. We did not have a crappy childhood. We were not wealthy, and often we were very, very poor. But our home was always clean, neat, nicely decorated. My mom has a nice eye. My mother always made a nice home for us, no matter where we lived. Always. So what was I so mad about? What was I screaming about? My mom was probably about to cook supper, another delicious home-cooked meal that we would have every single night, 7 days a week. My mom cooked dinner, and we ate dinner at the table as a family every night. And on weekends, we even had lunch together at the table as a family. So that's, it was just, normal and loving, my home. But I believed that there was no love in my home and that I was just a victim. I just started to think that. It's going to rain on my video? This is a low cloud. It just looks like a little cloud going overhead, I hope. Anyway. So I'm standing there and I'm looking and I'm trying to figure out what is wrong with this kid. What is she so upset about? Why does she feel this way? Why she look at her? She's so freaking mad. Why? And suddenly, right in front of me, was my brother, my little brother, Jesse. As he was then, as he would have been about 7 years old. His apple cheeks, blonde hair, big blue eyes, sweet little smile, just a little chub. He was just the sweetest, cutest little thing. My little brother. And we were very close. We stayed close up until our adulthood. Until I, left the organization. But up until then, that's charming. Up until then, we were close. We grew up together. He was only 2 years younger than me. We were Jesse and Tamar and Jesse, we were always together. He appears to me in this meditation, in this memory, like a vision. And I was, Jesse! Oh my God, Jesse! I was so excited to see Jesse. And he waves, and he's, hi, Tamar, and he's smiling. He looks so happy, and he looks over at the screaming little girl on the ground. Kind of shakes his head, looks back at me, and says, Tamar, of course we loved you. We all loved you so much. Of course we loved you. He kept saying, of course we loved you. Of course we loved you. And then I felt myself going up so that I was looking down on the house. And I could see my brother was no longer in the room there where I'd been, but he was sitting on the floor outside my bedroom door, just leaning up against the door. He looked sad. And then I could see a little farther on was the kitchen. And my mother was standing there looking at the screen door, and she was crying because she could hear me saying, you don't love me, you don't love me. And that hurt her. So, I could feel just tears. I'm having this incredible emotional reaction to all of this. And so I bring myself out of the meditation slowly. I wanted to just jump out. But slowly, I pulled myself out. And I opened my eyes, and I'm sitting in the room, face just soaked with tears. I wasn't weeping or making these loud noises, but I was just affected deeply, and I was shaking. I felt like a charge was running through my body. And then I thought about what he said. They always loved me. And I believed it. I knew that was the truth. That they had always loved me. And that what I had done, all these things that I had said, and whenever I would tell them that, it hurt them. Because because I was ungrateful and selfish and whatever. But this kid believed, for whatever reason, and nobody loved her. And her little brother had to come along and say, yes, we do. Don't be ridiculous. So from that day forward, I felt very different. I learned what my story that was fouling me up was. That I was telling myself over and over again, you're not loved. Nobody loves you. Everybody hates you. Everybody just wants you gone. That's what I really had going on in my head. And when I realized that, and I realized that what I had, this story was a lie. It was a lie. It wasn't true. It had never been true. Now, I have a new story. They always loved me. Or maybe everybody else did too. However, did I come upon this realization too late? For a bit, I thought I did. Because I had ruined my relationship with my very special person. I'd ruined it. At that point, he wouldn't even look at me. It has to be mentioned here. We live in the same house. My SP and I. He has told me 1,000 times, if he's told me once, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And I have fought with him over this, and fought, and just been hateful to him over this. Him telling me how he feels and being honest and straight with me. I've just made him feel like crap for it. How stupid is that? Because let me tell you something. This guy, this person, my best friend, has actually done everything he possibly could. Everything he could possibly bring to his self to do for me. For me. He put me in this house because I didn't have any place to live. He said, you will come and live with in my house. And even as we have pulled farther and farther apart, and I have just been a crazy person, I still live here. He still cares about me. Right now, he thinks he's interested in someone else. But that's my fault. I'm sitting here waiting for him to come home from this excursion with this wonderful person all by myself, making this video because of what I did, because of what I thought, because of what I believed. So that's what you can do to yourself by just thinking the wrong thing. By just thinking the wrong thing. So don't think the wrong thing.